So this is the last of the series which I called Numbers and Symbols in Vedic Thought. So we made a series of 10 videos, and this is the 10th one. And before I get started, I do have to give a few credits. Other people are involved in this. I'm just a speaker, content provider, so to speak. At the outset, I should thank Joe Woolworth of Carry Podcast, who runs and owns this studio. So the recording was done by him. Also sitting in front of me is Dr. Ajay Paspleti, one of my shishas. He is the one sort of sponsoring this recording and so on. There are a few people in Bangalore who are also very involved in this. Uh, one of our trustees, Tara Prakashna trustees, his name is Anil Yavgal. He's doing the video editing, and Nutan Prasad, one of our, again, Tara Prakashna people, uh, under the guidance, of course, of Sham Anant Narayan, who manages all operations of Tara Prakashna in Bangalore. They are doing all the YouTube maintenance, whatever, that's the wrong word, I guess, management, YouTube management and all that. So I don't do any of that stuff. I just do this, what I'm doing right now, and then forget about it. Other people take care of other things. Uh, so it's just nice of them to do all that. I just thought I should mention their names because they're all involved in this, but um, you don't see them. You see me, but you don't see these people. So I thought I'll just mention it. But more than any of these people, right? It's all good. I'm thankful to all of these people and what they do. But the person I really, really should mention is my guru, um, the late Dr. Bananja Govindacharya. Some of you know him. Very great, very, very great Vedic scholar. Um, and he passed away about 2 years ago. Um, I first met him in early 90s, and I was with him, uh, still with him. And so I really should mention my gratitude because any or all of what I do is only due to his blessings. And that's the reason all of this is happening, actually. So I'm very thankful and very grateful to him. Having said all of that, so we're talking about numbers and we're talking about symbols, right? I guess uh, each one of these things we took, in the first place, we didn't look at all the numbers. There's so many we didn't even look at. And even those numbers that we did look at, we only looked at a very small aspect of it. Like, just for an example, the one on the Dashavatara, right? That's number 10. We just looked at the first four, right? We didn't really go beyond that because the main reason for that is if you start talking about it, on each one of these numbers, we can make a series of 8 or 10 videos. So there's so much out there. So the whole idea in this series was to just introduce those people who are interested in such things to this concept of what is hidden in our Adhyatma. It could be Purana, it could be Itihasa, it could be Vedas, Upanishad. No matter what you look at, you cannot take it at face value. Matter of fact, I would claim that any spiritual thing, in any thought process, no matter which language, which region, wherever it comes from, it's very difficult to convey experiences, right, in words. Matter of fact, if I can quote my guru with just one thing, normally I don't repeat what he says, but now I'm going to repeat something that he said. He said, Adhyatma, what you may call philosophy, that's not a good word, but it is a good translation, but uh, what is that? And he said that, and I'm paraphrasing and I'm translating to English, but he said it is an attempt to put experiences into words, but those experiences are something that cannot be put into words. So that attempt to put into words what cannot be put into words is adhyatma, right? So in that sense, um, when you look at symbols, you look at numbers and so on, it makes a lot of sense. It makes sense because it gives you one other flavor. I would like to also mention one thing, which is in our thought process. The bijakshara. Bijakshara means the seed that started everything or starts everything is Omkara, right? So when you look at that Om, uh, the, it has 8 parts, but even in that, if you just look at the first 4 parts out of the 8 parts, it's A, U, Ma, and then the fourth one is Nada, sound, tune, music, whatever you want to call it, right? Because it says that when I'm thinking about the infinite one, it's means anything you think of, it's not that. U, that says that it is above anything you can comprehend or perceive. So it's not anything you can think of, it's not anything um, that you perceive because it's above all that. Ma says that, but yet you can know, you can get to know it. Now, you may say, how is that possible? Well, that's possible because when you say you get to know it, we are not saying that you get to know it in entirety. But it doesn't mean just because it's not anything you can think of or it's above everything you can experience, doesn't mean that you cannot experience it at all. You can experience some aspect of it, of this infinite one. And the fourth component, nada, right? Sound is very important because it's nada actually that conveys a lot of things. It's a tune, it's a sound, conveys a lot of things. And the reason for that is words. We started with that in the very first video. I said this: words are very bandwidth limited. They cannot really convey what one attempts to convey in matters like this, right? So, having said all of that, today I'd like to focus on the number 18. 18 is a very special number. Well, every number I started saying it's a very special number. Well, they're all special because, there are a lot of things hidden in that. But 18 in particular is, okay, I'll say 18 is a very, very special number. The others are just very special numbers. These are very, very. So you may say, why is that? Well, because when you look at Dashavatara, for example, right? One of the avatars that's very close to us, just 5,000 years ago, plus change, right? Approximately 5,000 years ago, is Krishna Avatara. So that avatara of Krishna, normally these avatars do one of two things: either to come and get rid of negative forces, or the other one is to give knowledge. But that is one avatara that did both. So, in that sense, it's very special. Secondly, it is very recent to us, right? Just 5,000 years ago. So, it has special significance. And there's a third reason for that. The very word Krishna means something that is very attractive. So it is something that will attract you, right? The more you focus on that avatara, the more you get sucked into that Krishna consciousness, right? And that is what gives us jnana, ananda, and all those things. So it's a very special thing. Now, where can we find things about Krishna? Well, there are two places. You can go to Itihasa or history, and in that you look at Mahabharata, right? That is the whole the war that took place between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. You can say the war between Dharma and Adharma, the war between good and evil, and so on. That's one place. That's Itihasa, right? But there's the Puranas. The Puranas are, like we said, I think in the first video, these are fables. It is historical in nature, that is based on historical things, but things can be twisted around all because they're trying to make a point, convey a story, convey a moral, right? So most fables are like that. You should not take it literally that it happened, right? Sometimes it doesn't even make sense, the story. Now, there's one interesting thing. So you say, okay, fine. So there is Puranas and there is Itihasa. Mahabharata in Itihasa has 18 what we call parvas, 18 parts. Okay, that's fine. Maybe it was a coincidence. It had to be some number. It had to have some number of parts. So it has 18 parts. So what? So, okay. Where's the other place I can look at? In Purana. Which Purana? Srimad Bhagavatam. Which Purana? That's the 18th Purana. The 18th and the last among the Puranas. So say, okay, so you find out about Krishna in the 18th Purana. There are other things too, but that's where you go. In fact, a good chunk of Srimad Bhagavatam is devoted to Krishna Avatara, right? Then you look at Mahabharata, it has 18 parts. So, okay, so what's this Mahabharata all about? Like I said, it's the war between good and evil, between Dharma and Adharma. So they say, okay, nice. How long did the war last? 18 days. What's that? Okay, fine. Uh, so if I want to study the philosophy part of it, which part do I go to? Say, there's a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna called Bhagavad Gita. That's where you find out. This, oh, nice. How many chapters does it have? It has 18 chapters. 700 shlokas, but 18 chapters, right? So there's got to be something here, right? There's got to be something. Not just then, the what we call Akshohini in Sanskrit, loosely try you can say brigade in the army. So the soldiers, the people who fought that war, on the Pandava side there were 7 Akshohinis or 7 brigades, you can say. It's not exactly a brigade. I'm just using some random English word. So there are 7 units, 7 brigades. And on the Kaurava side, there were 11 brigades. How much does it add up to? 11 plus 7, 18. Right? Yeah, even there, you have to notice that there are 11 on that side, but only 7 on this side. Right? So you say, okay, that's all fine. Okay. I mean, that's fine, but what does all that mean? So, okay, fine. Now what? I'll agree with you that this 18 keeps repeating it itself when it comes to Shree Krishna and Mahabharata. Okay, I'll accept that. Move on. So, what exactly does that mean to me? Whether it was they fought for 18 days or 10 days or 200 days, I don't care. That was 5,000 years ago, right? What's it to me? Well, the answer to that is Mahabharata is not just what happened 5,000 years ago. This is the struggle happening inside us every day, all of us, right? It's the fight between good and evil that constantly happens. And even that 11 and 7, it has meaning, but we'll skip that because it will take up too much time. But the 18 itself, you notice that on the side of Dharma, the Pandavas are fighting. So if you look at the whole Mahabharata, there are so many people, so many situations. Matter of fact, Vedavyasa himself, who quote unquote wrote Mahabharata, he himself says that it doesn't matter any human being at any time, any situation he faces, there will be the answer to that in Mahabharata. It doesn't matter what, right? Anything that happens to any of us, you can go, if you search, you'll find one instance there that you can draw some, extract some lesson from that and apply it to my situation in life today. Because that fight is going on inside me, right? Constantly. So, if that is the case, then you say, all right, so who are the major characters in this thing? There's so many characters are there. But there are five Pandavas, five brothers, right? We'll come to them in a minute. Then there is Draupadi, who's married to them, right? And again, you may say that's kind of bizarre. Like, why, how come there's one woman married to five guys? See, the problem is we have a tendency to bring everything down to our level. Everything, right? We should look beyond that. We should not think that we can somehow comprehend everything of something that happened 5,000 years ago, whatever, and why it happened and all that. Let's go past that and see what we can actually learn from that. So there are the five brothers, and there is Draupadi, and then there is Krishna. So how many are there? Seven again. We talked about seven in one of the other videos, right? So these seven characters, if you want to call it that, actually convey the entire lesson to us. Whatever we have to learn, it's there. So let's focus on that today, because that is something that I can apply. I can actually apply it in my life every day. I can, if I really understand this, and like I've said so many times before in these videos, it's not like um, uh, one or zero. It's not like you either have it or don't have it. There's a gradation. The question is self-improvement, right? So I just go in that direction. I'll never become perfect. I'll always be imperfect. But it's just that you go in the direction and do, constantly attempt for self-improvement. So I'm going in the right direction in life. That's all, right? So the eldest brother is Yudhishthira, right? He's also called Dharmaraja, right? So the trait that he represents or embodies is Dharma. So in this whole thing, it starts off. So everything starts with, like I said, the war is actually between Dharma and Adharma, right? So he actually embodies Dharma. So if there is no Dharma, there is no Mahabharata. In my life inside, if there is no Dharma, right, nothing happens, right? It's a wasted life. So the starting point is Dharma. And that is the only trait that Yudhishthira represents or embodies. So if I want to live a dharmic life that is resonating, and again, we talked about this in one of the other videos. By the way, I should maybe just digress just for a second and tell you guys who may be watching this video. If you really want to get a overall, understanding of what we attempted to do in this series, you really should go in that sequence. You should go in that sequence and watch all 10 videos, right? You don't have to sit down and watch it at one time, but it's all there in YouTube. And start with part one, I think we started with number 7, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So the first one was on number 7. You start with that, and you end with this one. Even though each one we try to make it somewhat self contained, in many instances it takes things from one of the earlier videos, right? So it's built to go in that sequence if possible. Right? Okay, anyway, so coming back to Dharma. So Dharma is one of the Chaturvidha Purusharthas. We talked about that. And so that's one of the things I can get in life. And Sanatana Dharma, the whole way of life, is about Dharma, right? But Dharma alone doesn't get you moksha. But that's a starting point. So I should know, I should look at myself and say, what is my value system? When I say Dharma, what's my value system? And am I really being honest to it? Not honest to the outside world, forget about that. But what are your value systems, value system, and how does that resonate with Sanatan Dharma? How does it resonate with the Vedic way of thought? Or does it? If it does, then the starting point is won over. Then the second brother is Bhima, Bhimasena. Right? Bhima, he represents 10 different values. I even wrote a book on that. Um, it's called 10 Gunas, that was published a couple of years ago by Rupa Publications in India. It's on the Amazon and all that stuff, right, in bookstores. So it was called 10 Gunas. It is about these 10 traits that Bhima represents. So you say, what are they? Well, see, when you start off with Dharma, then automatically the next thing that comes to you is a desire, for jnana. It automatically happens. It just comes, right? You'll be sort of attracted towards that. So this is you can look at like five brothers who were there 5,000 years ago, but I would suggest that you stop thinking about that. You stop thinking of inside you. So these are traits like what will lead to what. And when I look at Bhima, he represents 10 different traits that will lead to success, right? So what are they? Well, I'll say it in Samskrita and then I'll try to explain that briefly, each one. There is Jnana, Bhakti, Vairagya, Prajna, Medha, Dhriti, Sthiti, Yoga, Prana, and Bala. Those are the 10 traits, right? Again, if you want to know more about it, I'm not trying to make you buy anything, but maybe I am, I don't know. But anyway, you can go get that book called 10 Gunas and it's explained in detail. But let's spend like a minute on each or something like that and go through that very quickly. Jnana, to start with, very loosely people translate that as knowledge, wisdom, and so on. Jnana is that body of knowledge that can take us in three different directions. What we call yathartha jnana, there's something we call viparita jnana, and we call ajnana. When we talked about uh, Diwali in one of the videos, we talked about light represents, tamasoma, jyotirgamaya, and all those things. So light represents knowledge, darkness represents going downwards. So jnana, yathartha jnana, is that knowledge that will take you upwards. So when we just say jnana, we're talking actually about yathartha jnana. The viparita jnana is viparita, it's something that will take you horizontally in circles, right? Ajnana is the worst because it is darkness. It is something that will take you downwards, towards suffering and all that, right? So I don't have to keep on saying yathartha jnana. It's just when I say jnana, I really mean yathartha jnana, something that will take you upwards. So that's a starting point in one of these 10 things, yeah? So what that will do, it will lead you to bhakti. So bhakti is a combination of reverence for something and being passionate about something. Like, why are we doing all these things? Because we are passionate about it. It's not, we get nothing from this. Right? You don't get any money or anything, fame, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But you have to be passionate about it. Passionate about what? Well, jnana, right? So if you're passionate about it, you'll try to get as much as you can. And if you're not a selfish person, once you get it, you'll share it, right? So jnana leads to bhakti. Bhakti, like I said, is a combination of reverence is the only word, not respect. It's actually reverence combined with passion. That will lead to the next thing which we call vairagya. Vairagya is not giving up things, running away. My guru used to say it is detached attachment. And we talked about that too in one of the other videos. We talked about that some length. So I'll just move on, say that vairagya, which allows you to exist in this world and do everything and do it well and enjoy it also, without getting obsessed with something, getting attached to, permanently attached to something, because that always causes, because someday you're going to detach. So, right? So it's better to stay detached from day one rather than get permanently fixed and then you have to pull things apart, right? That is vairagya. If you get these jnana, bhakti, vairagya, so those three things we ask for all the time. So please give me jnana, bhakti, vairagya. You know. But there are other things. The next thing is prajna. Prajna is awareness. You say awareness of what? Well, awareness of the truth, awareness of what's going on. Because I cannot perceive everything, right? I cannot say that if I don't see something, it's not happening, or if I don't hear something, it's not. There's so many things happening in this world. I don't know what's happening on the in the next building. I don't know what's happening on the road, right? I don't know what's happening in this city. I don't know what's happening in the world, but all of those things might affect me. It might actually affect me, right? So prajna is being aware, awareness, right? Awareness of not only what you perceive, but also what you cannot perceive. Awareness of that's prajna. Very important. Like, those of you who are working in the corporate world and so on, like when you walk into a meeting, right? There may be some 6, 8 people sitting there, right? They'll all say things here. Like if you're the boss or if you're the one with the money or something, they'll say whatever you want to hear, right? But if you take your decisions based on what people tell you, they may be lying to you, right? But if you have prajna, you'll know what the truth is. You just know it. If somebody say, how do you know that? You say, I don't know, but I know it. That's all. So prajna is very important. The next one is what we call medha shakti. Medha. Medha, some people say it's memory power. I think it's a little more than memory. I think it's the ability to recall what you need at this point in time. Like in real time, at any point, at any given point, whatever you need to recall from your experience base, which is stored inside, right? If I can use the engineering terminology, I'll say having the address in the hard drive to the memory that you need to pull out, right? So that ability to recall in real time so that you can use it at that point from your own memory, right? In your own base, experience base. That is called Medha Shakti. So all these things are very nice. They're very, very nice. Jnana, Bhakti, Vairagya, Prajna, Medha. Then there are two other things. Then few more, but as a pair, what we call the Dhriti and Sthiti. Now, Dhriti, for me to do anything, I need confidence, right? Without confidence, yeah, I mean, you have to move forward with confidence, right? You say, confidence in what? And most will tell you, you need to have self confidence. Yeah, of course. I mean, but I also know when I talk about self confidence, if I start thinking that I can do anything, I'm capable of, that's nonsense because my experience tells me that I cannot do whatever I want. So it's not the confidence in myself alone, but confidence in the universe that there is a that universal intelligence is there and right things will happen for the right reasons at the right time. Even though at a given point in time some things may appear terrible, situation may appear terrible and say, why is all this happening? Well, there's a reason. It's not random. It's not quote unquote luck or anything like that. It's actually happening for a reason. I may not understand it, but it's happening for a reason. So having that confidence in the universe and that universal intelligence that controls that is actually this thing we are calling confidence. Then sthiti, I also need conviction. Because what happens is I start doing something, whatever it may be. I try something and I fail. For whatever reason, it doesn't work out, whatever, right? Of course, I need to examine my goal and say, is this a good goal? Am I doing the right things? Because for anything to succeed, we need three types of, what we call Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. Ichha Shakti, I may want to do it. I may have the determination. Jnana Shakti, that is, I may know how to do it also, but you may still fail, right? Which means that Kriya Shakti, things are not coming together. So that universal intelligence that makes things come together, for some reason, is preventing you from succeeding in whatever you're trying to do. So I need to examine that and say, is this something good? Is this something that he would approve of? I mean, do it for the right reasons and so on. When you do that, when you get that, not just confidence in it, but the conviction that, no, I'm doing the right thing and I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it. It doesn't matter if I fail. It may take a long time, whatever. Shree Krishna himself said in Bhagavad Gita, right? Karmanyeva adhikarasya ma phalesh kadachana. He says, focus on your karma, focus, focus, focus. So if I'm convinced, if I have the conviction that I'm doing the right thing, I'll stick with it. No matter what happens, right? Even if there are obstacles, there are failures, I'll still stick with it. Because I know that I'm doing a good thing for a good reason. That is dhriti and sthiti. Now what happens after you do all these things? Yoga. Yoga is not the exercise yoga, asana, but yoga is balance. So I get balance. Not just, matter of fact, what normally today people refer to as yoga, and it all gives you physical balance, right? But more than that, real yoga is not just physical balance, but I should have mental balance and spiritual balance also. So no matter what happens, right? There's a storm in life. Fall down, you get up again, right? And hopefully, if you really have really good yoga, you don't even fall down. Yoga also has one other meaning, which is opportunity. So it'll get you good opportunities because opportunities are important, isn't it? If you don't get an opportune situation, how will you do something? So again, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita that, look, you focus on me. Ananyash chintayanto mam ye janaha paripaste tesham nityabhyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyam. He says, I will give you yoga, I'll give you kshemam. So that yoga will come. And then two more, prana, prana shakti. Prana shakti is life force, vitality, alive, being alive, right? Otherwise, you become, like lazy and lethargic. So, being active, the ability to move, prana shakti means the energy to move physically, mentally, spiritually, and so on. And that prana shakti will lead to bala. which is strength. All kinds of strength, physical strength, mental strength, spiritual strength. So makes you a strong person. Bhima represents all these strengths, right? So you say, okay, fine. So suppose I get all these things. Then what happens? Among these brothers, so Yudhishthira and Bhima, together they give us 11 traits, 11 characteristics. Next brother, who, matter of fact, Bhagavad Gita, which we hold so much importance, that's a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna on the battlefield, right? Arjuna represents 3 traits, right? Did you know all this? Arjuna represents Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. I said earlier, Shravana is, see, you cannot say that, okay, fine, I'll go listen to some lecture, I'll watch some video on YouTube, learn something. You can hear something, but for you to listen, see, when you listen to something, if not just tomorrow, 10 years from now, in your next life, if I come and ask you something, you'll say, I've listened to this before, right? And it'll go deep inside. So that ability to focus and listen to something. To get that, you need these other 11 things. There's no way you'll be a good listener if you don't have other 11 traits, starting from Dharma and all the other 10 things we just spoke about, right? If you have those 11 things, you'll be a very, very good listener. Very good listener, right? In olden days, they wouldn't even let you take notes. A guru is teaching a shishya, right? No notes, nothing. You just listen, that's all. Right? And you have to repeat that. So when you come the next day, they'll say, okay, I'll teach you the next thing if you repeat what I said yesterday and explain it. You have to come and not only repeat it, but explain what it means. Then you say, okay, fine, now I'll teach you the next thing. Right? Nowadays, people have become very, they say, it's okay, don't do all those things. You just keep giving, But gurus did not do that. They would watch and say, did he have Shravana? Did he have the ability to listen? In the meantime, you're also supposed to do another thing which we call manana. That is contemplation on that in your mind. Not just listening, but contemplation in your mind. And once you do that, churning, right? Once you do that, then what you do is nididhyasana. You have to apply it in life. You have to apply it to every situation, right, in life. You apply that. So this ability to listen, process, contemplate, process, whatever you want to call manana, you mentally process that and then apply it. Arjuna represents all those 3 traits. That's why he was the recipient of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna did not give Bhagavad Gita to the older ones, not to Yudhishthira, not to Bhimasena, not to Arjuna. Well, for one thing, he had questions, right? So he gave answers. He didn't necessarily give answers to the questions he asked always, but he gave him answers, right? So these 3 traits are very, very important. We underestimate the value of that. We really underestimate the value of that. Something a guru says in a very casual way, very, very casual, that if you're a really good listener, that will go in and it's I remember he said this 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Because it's gone in. right? It's gone inside. And you've contemplated on that, you've applied that, right? So, how many do we have now? So, you start with Dharma, 1 plus 10, 11 plus 3, 14, right? Did I say it right? Yeah, 11. So, we have 14 now. So, we have to go to 18, right? 14. So, there's Nakula and Sahadeva, two more brothers, right? They, poor guys, they're the youngest fellows. But they represent something very, very important. Sheila and Vinaya, right? These are very important qualities in a person, right? Sheila, you need character. Character is important. So if you have all these things, it builds character. Vinaya, being humble. See, you cannot become arrogant saying that, oh, I know all these things. Look at me, look at my strength and all. Be soft and humble. So a real strong person doesn't display his strength unless it's needed. Right? Very quietly, it's there. It's all there. All these things are there. But it just soft and nice and humble. Right? So that Vinaya and Sheila are very important characteristics that will come. There's a saying in Sanskrit that says Vidya Dadati Vinayam. So knowledge will lead to humility. If you have correct knowledge, it will lead to humility, not arrogance. Yeah. So now we have 16 things. So these 5 brothers represent these 16 traits or qualities that I can build in myself. To the extent possible, like I said, it's self-improvement, right? So just go in the direction, right? Then what happens? Now comes Draupadi, right? See, look, the male energy and the female energy will produce something, right? When they come together. We talked about this earlier, right? So you need both. So what's on the other side? This is all on the male side. So when you have all these things, on the other side, what is there? Adhyatma. So we talked about it. We start at the beginning. I mentioned it that Adhyatma is the attempt. It's just an attempt to share in words what really cannot be expressed in words, right? That will come to you, because having all these things are fine, but you may still be do nothing in life, right? You have all these things. You say, okay, fine, you're a strong person, you have you have the ability to listen, all those things are there. But now from the other side, that inner, like I refer to as nada in the Omkara, that will come and mix with all these five brothers in Mahabharata, but inside me, these 5 sets of traits or values. So if they come together, what's the result from all that? To go towards that 18th, which is actually Shree Krishna, right? So it will pave the way. It will allow you, take you towards Shree Krishna. And once that consciousness, that Krishna consciousness is there, then you have nothing to worry about. Now you're talking about the jiva, the soul, being aware of, not in entirety, but just being aware of the infinite one. So number 18 is there because it's giving you A hint, just giving you a hint. Whether you look at Bhagavad Gita or you look at Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. Or you say, why did that war take place for 18 days and all these things, right? Because it's all pointing, is that pay attention, pay attention. Because this is what it's all about. The ultimate goal is to reach Sri Krishna. But there are steps. And if I don't get that first 16, the first 16, the 17th, that Adhyatma, Draupadi will not come, right? So that combination of all these traits and Adhyatma together will take us towards Sri Krishna, who is the 18th. So he represents that number. So you say, what does 18 represent? Him. That's why this entire thing is, which is about Krishna Avtara, whether it's Mahabharata or Krishna teaching Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, whatever, that 18, 18, 18, and so on. Right? Very amazing number that tells us so much about life, about how to deal with the struggles that we all go through. All of us go through struggles, inner struggles. We may express it, we may not express it. We may share with others, we may not share it with others. We may succeed, we may not succeed. But the struggles will be there. The inner struggles are always there. Always. So if you want to come out of it successfully and reach that number 18, then you have to pay attention to this other 17 things. I should actually say that even what we're doing now, even this video series, no matter what we do, including this video series, is actually an offering to that number 18. And that's all it is. That's all it is. That's why I said earlier that we're not looking at any monetization or who watches, who doesn't watch, all these things. It doesn't matter. Our job is to give it as an offering, yet another offering to Sri Krishna. And I hope that he will accept.